Hi, this is Charlie. In this lesson, I'm going to write an IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. I'm going to analyse the task. I'm going to look at some vocabulary that you can use in this task. I'm also going to plan the essay as well as write the essay. So let's get started. Let's begin by looking at the task. And here is the task. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. In some countries, the average weight of people is increasing and their levels of health and fitness are decreasing. What do you think are the causes of these problems and what measures could be taken to solve them? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. And this task comes from Cambridge IELTS, Book 8. This is Academic Test 4. So this is from the Academic IELTS test. Here is the topic statement. In some countries, the average weight of people is increasing and their levels of health and fitness are decreasing. Here are some key words. The average weight of people is increasing. People are getting heavier and levels of health and fitness are decreasing. So their health and their fitness are getting worse at the same time as their weight is increasing. And here is how you should respond to the tasks. There are two questions here. What do you think are the causes of these problems? The causes. It's not asking you to talk about the problem. It's asking you to explain what you think are the reasons, the causes of those problems. There is no right or wrong answer to these. There are lots of different causes you could argue for. In a way, it's an opinion essay because it asks you, what do you think are the causes? And the second question, what measures could be taken to solve them, is asking you for some solutions to the problems. Let's look now at some possible vocabulary which is specific to this topic. So obesity. So that means you're very, very fat. Overweight is maybe a little bit too much weight, a little bit fat. Sedentary lifestyle. This is a phrase I'm going to use in the essay. Sedentary lifestyle is a lifestyle where you don't really move much. You're sitting down a lot. Maybe you're sitting at a desk and you're driving to work. So you go from one chair to another chair. Diet. A diet is what you eat. You can have a good diet or a poor diet or a healthy diet. Large amount of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is a very precise word. It's things like pasta, rice. Consists of starch and sugar. And that's generally thought to be bad for you. Eating too much junk food. Commute by car. When we talk about commuting, it means going to work. Sometimes it's used in the sense of going to school or to college or university, but it generally means going to work. Adopt a sugar tax. And gym is another word that could be useful in this essay. So when you see a task, it's a good idea to brainstorm some words and phrases which you think might be useful when you start to write your essay. This will also help you to think about your main ideas for when you plan your essay. So you might want to talk about junk food or commuting or adopting a sugar tax when you come to write your essay. But as always, when I advise people to write IELTS Writing Task 2 essays, you must start by planning your essay, especially if you want to have a high band score in IELTS writing. If you want to know more about how to answer a problems solutions essay, then you can always check out my website. I've got lots of different tips about how to write these essays and how to plan them, how to decide your position, and importantly, how to structure your essay. I'll give you some suggested structures for your essay, how to write an essay, and also, very useful here, some common mistakes that people make when writing these kinds of essays. I've also got some sample questions that you can look at when you do your practicing, and you can also see a model essay. So let's look at the plan for this particular essay. Now we're going to divide it up into causes and into solutions as well. Remember, we're talking about causes of the problem, not the problem itself. There are lots of different possible causes, lots of different possible solutions. These are my ideas. You may be able to think of better ones. There are lots of different possibilities. So I'm going to divide my essay into the causes of increasing weight and also the causes of decreasing health and fitness. So what do I think are the causes of increasing weight? Well, too much carbohydrate in food. I think people are eating too much carbohydrate. That's things like sugar, starch, for example, sugary drinks, and also junk food with rice and pasta. So if you eat too much rice and pasta, or if you drink too many sugary drinks, you're going to increase your weight. You're going to get fatter. You're going to get obese. What about causes of decreasing health and fitness? Well, I think that one of the main causes is our sedentary lifestyle. When I come to write my essay, I need to explain in more detail what I mean by that. So here's my explanation and illustration. I'm illustrating this idea. So people take the car everywhere. They don't walk much. And more people do seated work in offices than in the past. In the past, people used to do lots of work standing up or moving about, maybe on a farm, in a factory. But today, a lot more people do seated work, and so they're not getting exercise. They're not burning up the carbohydrates that they eat. So that's an explanation. And I've also illustrated the idea of a sedentary lifestyle by painting the picture of somebody sat down working. What about some solutions here? Well, I think governments should force food producers to reduce the sugar content of their food and their drinks. Well, how can they do that? I need to explain this in more detail, maybe by giving an example from my own knowledge or experience. And I know about this one here, the sugar tax. You can have a sugar tax on sugary drinks. You can tell food producers that they've got to pay an extra tax if they make drinks with a high level of sugar. Another possible solution is to increase fuel tax to make car travel more expensive. Why is this important? Well, if you make car travel more expensive, you make it more expensive to drive, then people will have to walk and cycle more, so they'll be burning up those carbohydrates that they're eating. So that's another possible solution. There are lots more solutions I could talk about. I might even mention one of those in the essay itself, and I'm sure you can think of more causes and solutions. But you don't want to write too many. You could probably think of 5 causes and 5 solutions, but if you just list those and you don't explain and illustrate those causes and solutions, you get a low band score in IELTS, because you have to explain and illustrate your ideas to get a higher band score. So it's better to just have 2 causes and 2 solutions in an essay like this. So now I'm going to write the essay, and let's start with the introduction, and I've got the task up in the top right hand corner so you can remember what the task actually is. So let's have a look at the introduction. Over the last few decades, rising obesity and a drop in people's overall health and fitness have become a major concern in many countries, especially those in the developing world. So this is essentially a way of introducing the topic itself. This is probably enough for the introduction, but I'm actually going to add a little bit more. I'm going to explain what the essay is going to do. So this essay will consider two of the main causes of this problem, along with some possible solutions. Let's look at the vocabulary I've used here. So I've written the phrase over the last few decades. So this is a problem that's emerged over the last 20, 30, 40 years. So it's like a development. So if you're writing about a development or a trend, then the phrase over the last few decades is quite useful. Rising obesity is the kind of phrase that IELTS examiners are looking for if they're going to give you a high band score, because it's a natural collocation. And become a major concern is a very good way of writing about problems. Concern is an alternative way about talking about problems. Now let's look at the body paragraph. So here's what I would write for body paragraph 1. Remember, here I'm going to talk about the problems of why people are getting fatter. Why is there increasing weight? One of the main causes of increasing weight amongst the population is because so much food and drink contains large amounts of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, remember I talked about that in the plan. Junk food, for example, tends to contain high quantities of cheap pasta and rice, while soft drinks often contain large amounts of sugar. So that's an explanation of the idea about large amounts of carbohydrates. So I've said food and drink contains large amounts of carbohydrates. I've explained this in more detail. I've talked about pasta and rice and sugar. If these carbohydrates are not burned up through exercise, they will simply be converted by the body into fat, leading to weight gain. Here I've used my own knowledge and experience of this particular topic. If you don't burn up, if you don't use up carbohydrates, you're going to get fat. I know this from my own experience. I know this from my own knowledge. I know that if you drink sugary drinks, if you eat lots of pasta and rice, you'll have weight gain. I know about this. So that's what it means in IELTS when they say use your own knowledge or experience. Here's some of the good language I've used in this paragraph. One of the main causes is a very good way of introducing one of the causes of the problem. Contains large amounts of carbohydrates. Again, that's the kind of phrase that IELTS examiners are looking for if they want to give you a high band score for lexical resource and grammatical range and accuracy. Junk food is a good phrase. It's a very precise term. Makes it very clear what you're talking about. And the phrase burned up through exercise. You burn calories, you burn carbohydrates. So that's why I've used the verb burned up through exercise. So that's body paragraph 1. Here's body paragraph 2. And I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'm going to give you a little exercise to complete. However, people are getting less blank, which means that not only will they gain a blank, they will also experience lower levels of health and blank. So this paragraph, we're going to talk now about why people are experiencing lower levels of health and something else. I've left some blanks in here to give you a test. One of the main blanks for this lack of exercise is our increasingly blank lifestyle. Can you guess what that blank might be from the vocabulary section of this video? Whereas in the past, many people used to be engaged in manual blank, such as factory work or farming, today they are more likely to be sat in an office hunched over a computer. Add to that the fact that people are more likely to blank, to work by car, rather than walk or cycle, and we can see why people are getting blank and less healthy. That's body paragraph 2. So here's a little exercise for you to complete first of all. Here are the missing words. What I'd like to do is pause the video and try to match the words at the bottom with the blank spaces. So hit the pause button now and see how well you can do. Good luck. So I hope you paused the video and had a look and had a try filling the blanks. Here are the answers. However, people are getting less exercise, which means that not only will they gain weight, they will also experience lower levels of health and fitness. One of the main reasons for this lack of exercise is our increasingly sedentary lifestyle. Whereas in the past, many people used to be engaged in manual labour, such as factory work or farming. Today, they are more likely to be sat in an office hunched over a computer. Add to that the fact that people are more likely to commute by work, to work by car, rather than walk or cycle, and we can see why people are getting fatter and less healthy. Now let's look at body paragraph 3, where I talk about the solutions. There are some solutions to this problem that governments could provide, such as a sugar tax. In countries where this has been introduced, such as the UK, this has led to drinks manufacturers reducing the amount of sugar in their products. Again, the example of the sugar tax in the UK is from my own knowledge. I know this has happened, and I know it's been very effective. It has led to drinks manufacturers reducing the amount of sugar in their products. I also feel that higher levels of tax on petrol might make car drivers think twice about whether they should really take the car out on the road. Ultimately, however, it is up to individuals to take more responsibility for their own health and fitness. They could make the effort to walk more and take the car less, and make better choices regarding their diet using information that is widely available on the internet. So this one paragraph presents 3 different possible solutions. So the final sentence talks about personal responsibility. So people could take responsibility for their own diets and exercise. It doesn't have to just be governments that are responsible. And a short conclusion. You don't need to go into a long conclusion here. You just need to summarize the causes of the problem and your possible solutions. So here's what I would write for the conclusion. In conclusion, sugary, carbohydrate-rich foods are one of the main causes of increasing weight, and this problem has been exacerbated by our increasingly sedentary lifestyle. So that summarizes the causes of the problem. So carbohydrate-rich foods, the problem's been exacerbated. That means made much worse by our sedentary lifestyle. And let's summarize the solutions. However, government initiatives such as a sugar tax and encouraging people to adopt a more active lifestyle can help counteract the problem. And there is my essay. I hope you found that lesson useful. If you would like to see the full essay and get lots of practice exercises, then look in the description below the video and you will see a link to more resources. One final thing, if you would like me to check your IELTS essays, then look in the description again for another link taking you to my IELTS essay feedback service. So I will read your essay, I will give you a band score for each of the 4 different criteria. I'll also give you lots of corrections, feedback and suggestions for improvement, as well as model essays. So you can find out more in the description. So thank you for watching.